After years of relentless pursuit, countless investments, and unwavering dedication, Paris Saint-Germain finally did it. They won the Champions League. The coveted trophy, the ultimate validation, was finally theirs. The city erupted. It was a release of pent-up energy, a collective exhale of a city that had yearned for this moment for so long. For a moment, Paris was pure euphoria, a symphony of joy echoing through its historic streets. Flags waving, a sea of blue, red and white rippling in the night air. Fans singing, their voices hoarse but filled with unadulterated passion. The Eiffel Tower glowing in blue and red, a beacon of victory illuminating the Parisian skyline. The streets became a sea of celebration, a human tide flowing through the city's arteries, united by a single shared dream realized. Strangers hugging, barriers broken down in a moment of collective triumph, tears of joy everywhere. Years of heartbreak and near misses washed away in a flood of pure, unadulterated emotion. But as the night wore on, as the initial euphoria began to subside, the party's energy shifted. A subtle change, almost imperceptible at first, but undeniable nonetheless. The crowd swelled, growing larger and more dense with each passing hour. Hundreds of thousands, a mass of humanity pulsating with excitement and anticipation, all high on victory, fueled by the adrenaline of the moment and, let's be honest, plenty of alcohol. The drinks were flowing freely, adding fuel to the already burning fire of celebration. The singing got louder, the chants more fervent, the dancing wilder, inhibitions shed like unwanted layers on a warm summer night, and the atmosphere started to feel less like a party, less like a joyous gathering of fans, and more like a powder keg. The energy was palpable, a mix of elation and something darker, something more volatile. What began as joy, as a spontaneous outpouring of collective happiness, started to tip into chaos. The line between celebration and something more sinister was beginning to blur. The city's heartbeat was electric, a frenetic pulse resonating through the streets, but you could sense a storm brewing. The air crackled with anticipation, but also with a hint of unease. The celebration was still on, the party raging in full swing, but the edge was unmistakable. A sense of foreboding hung in the air, a premonition of something about to go wrong. It's the classic story, the age-old tale, a city's dream come true, a moment of pure unadulterated joy, but the night is just getting started, and as the hours tick by, the potential for things to unravel grows exponentially. The line between celebration and chaos, that delicate balance, it was about to get blurry, very blurry. Paris was partying, celebrating a victory that had been decades in the making, but trouble was brewing, and the night was far from over. The Champs-Élysées, that iconic Parisian boulevard, a symbol of elegance and national pride, it transformed into a wild, almost unrecognizable scene. It became a sprawling block party of epic proportions, a sea of faces united in celebration. But this wasn't your average neighborhood get-together. Oh no, this was a Parisian celebration, only with more flares, and significantly less control than anyone anticipated. Crowds surged forward, a relentless tide of humanity. People toppled under the pressure, losing their footing in the chaos, and the avenue, once a picture of sophistication, became a human wave pool, with bodies swaying and crashing against each other. Fireworks exploding in brilliant bursts of color and flares, casting an eerie red glow, lit up the night sky, transforming the familiar cityscape, painting the city in a surreal palette, in red and smoke, a visual representation of the fervor and the frenzy. Some fans, caught up in the moment, set street signs ablaze, a dangerous and destructive act, and bus stops ablaze, adding to the growing sense of anarchy. Because apparently, in some people's minds, nothing says victory quite like a bonfire fueled by public property. Shop windows shattered into a million pieces, opportunists looted the stores, taking advantage of the chaos, and the police scrambled to respond, to try and contain the escalating chaos that was unfolding before their eyes. Riot police appeared on the scene, a formidable force, shields up in a defensive posture, faces grim with the weight of the situation, as tear gas began to deploy, to sting the air and disperse the unruly crowds. The party's soundtrack abruptly shifted from joyous cheers and triumphant songs to the wailing sirens of emergency vehicles and the sickening sound of shattering glass. The celebration was rapidly slipping, spiraling out of control with alarming speed, fast, becoming something far more sinister. Even the happiest of moments, those born from pure joy and excitement, can take a dark turn, transforming into something ugly. And tonight, on the streets of Paris, Paris was learning that lesson the hard way, etched in broken glass and burning embers. The city's dream celebration, a moment of collective euphoria, was now, in a cruel twist of fate, a public order nightmare, a stark reminder of the fragility of order. When the smoke cleared, the numbers told the story. Hundreds of arrests, over 350, ranging from vandalism to theft and public disorder. Dozens injured, mostly minor, but the toll was real for both fans and police. Authorities issued stern statements: joy is fine, destruction isn't. The police had braced for chaos, but even they seemed weary and exasperated. Managing a city in celebration and crisis is a thankless job. The balance between letting people celebrate and keeping order? Nearly impossible. Sometimes, despite all efforts, things just catch fire, literally and figuratively. Paris had its victory, but it came with a heavy price. Why does joy turn to chaos? It's crowd dynamics. Responsibility fades in a sea of faces. Add alcohol, and inhibitions vanish. Suddenly, bad ideas seem brilliant. The crowd's energy feeds itself, and a few troublemakers can spark a chain reaction. Opportunists blend in, using the chaos as cover for looting and vandalism. The anonymity of the crowd, the high emotions, and a few bad actors, it's a recipe for disaster. Most fans just want to celebrate, but it only takes a handful to tip the scales. The city's dream night becomes a mayor's nightmare. It's not new, and it's not unique to Paris, but it's always messy. Human nature at its most unpredictable. Paris, a city of lights, romance, and revolution, also has a history. A history deeply intertwined with the beautiful game. A history of wild football celebrations, unleashed with every major victory, every crucial goal. Just ask anyone who remembers the euphoria, the sheer joy, the unforgettable World Cup wins of 1998, or the more recent triumph of 2018. Moments etched in the national memory. Big matches mean big parties, spontaneous gatherings that erupt across the city, and often, the morning after, big cleanups are required to restore order. Even near misses, agonizing defeats can trigger street chaos, frustration boiling over. It's almost a tradition, a complex dance between celebration and potential disorder. Authorities know the drill, they've seen it all before. Riot police are deployed, standing ready to manage the crowds. Metro shutdowns are implemented, strategic closures to control movement, and yes, tear gas is sometimes necessary to disperse unruly gatherings. The CRS anti-riot squads are experts in de-escalation and crowd management, highly trained, but the challenge never gets easier. Each match presents a unique set of circumstances. It's a tense dance, a delicate balance of power and emotion. Fans celebrating with unbridled passion, police containing, attempting to maintain order without stifling the joy. City officials bracing for impact, hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. Other countries see similar scenes, the fervor of football igniting passions worldwide. But Paris does it with a certain flair, a unique blend of history and culture. Maybe it's the revolutionary spirit, the echoes of past uprisings in the city streets. Or maybe it's just pure, unadulterated football passion, a love for the game that runs deep. When the final whistle blows, the tension reaches its peak. The city holds its breath, anticipating either jubilation or despair, and its barricades standing as silent sentinels against potential unrest. In Paris, under the watchful gaze of the Eiffel Tower, football glory and chaos often go hand in hand, a volatile but captivating combination. Morning after, Paris is a mess. Broken glass, debris, and exhausted street cleaners. The debate begins: more security, stricter rules, or just a few bad apples? City officials face tough questions. How to allow joy without inviting chaos? Is there a way to celebrate responsibly, or is this the price of passion? Every city hosting big games faces this dilemma. Paris will recover, but the next celebration is already on the horizon. The challenge: keep the party alive without letting it burn the city down. Food for thought, best enjoyed with a calm cup of coffee.